Hey everyone, this March we've got a really fun lineup of wines, as usual, but the stories that we're telling are really unique. We're talking about the West Coast, which is where the majority of wine does come from in the United States, and then we're also talking about oak barrel aging. So to start out with, this month we've got our sparkling rosé. This comes out of Washington State, made from a couple of really classic Washington State grape varietals, Syrah and Chardonnay. Mostly Chardonnay, a little tiny bit of Syrah used to give it some color and a little bit of added spice. After that we have our Pinot Gris, which is a gorgeous wine, a really light, fresh, fruity character to it. This also comes from Washington State, which has a really nice, cool climate, which gives those wines a lot of brightness and freshness and acidity. Following that, we have our unoaked Chardonnay, which is a super popular style of Chardonnay for us at Cooper's Hawk. No oak means you really get to showcase the fresh, fruity flavors of this wine. And then side by side with that is our unoaked Chardonnay Riesling Wine of the Month. This wine's pretty cool. This is coming from Washington State. And what's really interesting about this is that these are two grapes that I would never blend together. Chardonnay and Riesling, totally different animals. But in the case of this wine, we're doing unoaked Chardonnay, which has that light, fresh, fruity character, and then Riesling, which is really bright and very pretty, lots of acidity, lots of green apple-y flavors, and together they work really well. And these are also the two primary historic white grapes from Washington State. So it's really a great little nod to my home state. Then from there, we're going on to the Pinot Noir. And Pinot Noir, we don't use a whole lot of oak on because Pinot Noir is more delicate and you don't want it to be overwhelmed by the intense flavors of oak. So this is using used oak barrels. Actually, the barrels that we use for our Lux Pinot, which is our French oak barrels, they get used for our regular Pinot Noir after they've been used the first time for our Lux Pinot. After that, we do have a Lux wine. This is our Lux Cabernet, and this is a really cool wine. It's coming from Mendocino in California, Northern California, and this is one that's been aged in new oak barrels. And kind of a fun exercise to do with your guest is to take a little tiny bit of bourbon and put it in a glass, and then when you smell that, you'll notice that you get all of these flavors of caramel and spice and vanilla, and that's the aroma of new American oak barrels. And then smell the wine and see if you can pick up those aromas in the wine as well. After that, we have our Shiraz. Shiraz, you know, this is such a big, powerful wine. It can often be difficult to taste new oak barrel aging on it because the wine's so intense. But there is some oak on that wine too. You'll see a little bit of spice in the background of all of that gorgeous, big, dark fruit. And then finally, we have our rhubarb wine, which is a beautiful little nod to the summer to come, and also a great wine on its own and also in cocktails. So make sure that your guests are checking out our newsletter and social media where we post recipes on how to incorporate those wines into cocktails. So cheers and enjoy the lineup.